So first thing you want to do is you want to take pictures of your Duet wiring, particularly the heaters, the steppers here. You want to make sure you have the colors, like the correct order of everything. And down here, the end stops and fans, that you can see where everything goes, just in case you get confused later. Obviously there are schematics on the web that you could check, but I found it's good to know which cable went where before you start this whole thing. Same thing up here. When you take this apart, you want to make sure that you have some understanding of where everything went, just in case you wanted to go back, even though I doubt you will. Anyways, do that first. The next thing we need to take care of is the little Torx here that holds the cable chain in place, and I think there is a nut on the other side that holds that. So you need a T10 Torx screwdriver for that, and then that comes out just like that. And then after that we'll have to remove the whole back thing here. Depending on which version you have, that looks a little different, but that's basically the part that needs to come off next, and then you unhook all the cables. This one here takes a T20 Torx, I think. Screw here at the top. And I think there is one hidden somewhere down there, but I can't remember where that is. Okay, I had to consult the M3D Assembly Disassembly guide. I'm gonna link that in the video below. And the second screw is actually conveniently located underneath here, where you can't see it, you can't really access it. And you have to try and get to it kind of blindly. And of course the rods are in the way, and I don't know exactly what Torx size that is. Okay, it came off, and that whole cable assembly is loose now, and we should be able to start taking those plugs out. And oh, it broke. Oh well, not like I'm gonna go back to that. So let's get all those plugs out. So now it should look approximately like this. All the plugs have been unplugged. The cable chain is basically loose. We're gonna take care of the other side in a moment. For now, just move it out of the way and keep that whole assembly just like that. Now we're ready to remove the front fan and the Walle here, so we can actually get to the belt clamp to remove that one. So first, take the two screws out here. Take the fan off. Then need the T20 Torx again. And you remove these three screws here. Oh, that one is kind of stripped, so let me see if I can get that with a hex screw. Yeah, coming loose. Okay, now this whole thing can go away, hopefully never to be seen again. Then we have access to the belt clamp here. Remove these two screws. And at this point, the head is now loose and we can take care of the belt clamp here. And that's the next thing we're gonna do here. This part here is actually one of the few things that was engineered well, but we're still not going to use it. Okay, and with that, the belts here can be taken out. Don't lose the two metal rods, not that you're gonna need it again, but you know, you might. So, and now the belts are free, the head is free, and we can start working on the gantry. So the next thing we're gonna take care of are these 3 screws on both sides to remove the whole gantry. Remove like 2 on this side here, leave 1 still in, so that the whole thing doesn't fall straight down. Now I'm taking the ones out on the other side. Okay, that takes care of the gantry, and as I said, put those screws aside because you're gonna need those again. So say goodbye to this wonder of mechanical engineering. Anyways, it's gone. Next step is removing the idlers here in the front. For that we can first take the belts out. You're gonna put those aside too, because those actually seem to be Gates belts according to this here. So they're still okay. I'm using them on my machine. Obviously, if you want to, you can replace them, but there is no urgent need for that. The idlers are mounted on the side here with 2 M4 screws and nuts in the inside. So hold the nut with your finger and unscrew this. Do the same thing for the other one. And then you can take this whole thing out. We're still going to use some parts of this, so don't throw this away. We're trying to recycle as much as we can. And as you can see here, the nuts are stuck to the magnet here, and we're actually going to take the magnet out as well, because that is another thing we are going to reuse. Now, these are a little tricky to get out. Not a lot of space to maneuver in there, so I'll take a flathead screwdriver and push that sticky tape off, and then just take that out. We're just going to use the magnet. The sticky stuff can go away. Do that same thing on the other side, and then we'll move on to the next part. And one thing I forgot to mention, the 4 screws that hold the idlers in place, you want to keep those as well. Those are gonna be used to attach the new idler mounts in the front corner here, so don't throw those away. So next part, we're going to take care of the wire rails here, because we're going to replace those with better versions. And for that we first have to take the end stop off, but for that we actually have to first take the stepper plate screw here off, because that's in the way of getting to some of the screws. So now on some of the machines I've seen, they might have used Loctite on these screws here for the stepper plate, so you might need a wrench to hold the front and torque it open. But yeah, just need the top screw here, because there's a screw down here that can't be accessed if you have it in there. Go in here, remove that bottom screw first. And by the way, one of the reasons why we changed the end stop here, if you see, this thing moves freely, which means there is no way that you get accurate Y position out of this. So we're going to replace that with an optical end stop that will give you the same results every single time. Okay. So that's this end stop, and while we're at it, you can take the other end stop out as well. These 2 end stops are basically the reason why you can't use the resume feature in the ProMega, because your XY position is completely irreliable. And that means every single time you home, you have a slightly different XY position, and therefore you can't resume your print. So now we have access to these screws here that hold the Y rail in place. So I'm gonna take those off here. One in the front, one in the center, and one in the back. Okay, take that off. And I guess you can use them for another project where it's not as important. Now these ones are a little better than the ones that I had on mine. They don't sound quite as much like a train. Mine, if you move them, you could feel the grit inside of the channel here, and the holes were actually drilled in a way that they broke through the channel on the side, and that caused a lot of issues. So gonna put those aside, and I'm gonna take off the ones on the other side as well, and then we move on to the next parts. Now that the rails are off, we can clean up this area here. As you can see, almost looks a little like rust building there from the rails, so I'm gonna clean that off. As you can see, it's easiest to do this when the side windows here are not installed, so you want to remove the bed, like the glass print surface or the mirror or whatever you have down there. You want to remove that first, the side windows here, and anything that basically is not nailed down you want to remove first before you start this whole thing, because there are times when you might need to lift the machine up a little bit and so on. So it's easiest to do that like that. So now that you have that clean, next thing is we're going to take care of the cable chain back here and the stepper plates on both sides. And then we're almost done with the disassembly of things. Still plenty more work to get everything done here. So now we're ready to remove the cable chain, the stepper plates, the steppers, basically this whole assembly here. And obviously after that the other side. I'm just going to show this one here because this one has a little more stuff to do. So first, to remove the cable chain, we're going to remove these two parts here. There are some other setups, like newer versions, that have it a little differently, but in the end you should be able to figure out how that works. These guys actually have some nylock screws on the bottom, so you want to hold them with a wrench or with a little plier. Take those off. Take the second one off here. Okay, and then in the back here, it's a different screw type here. And that one is just screwed into the aluminum. So take that off. And with that you can remove the whole cable chain and let that hang down. Then next step, we have to actually remove the stepper first, because the screw that is down here is nicely located behind the stepper. So plus we want to get to the pulley anyways to be able to remove that. Well, I guess we could do that like this. So theoretically you should be able to just slide it back. Nope. Obviously whoever designed this didn't quite think that anybody would ever disassemble it. And for some of the standoffs, it's actually the standoff separating from the stepper instead of the screw separating from the standoff. Like this one here. So make sure you don't get rid of the pulley. That's another part that we're going to reuse. And now we have access to the screws that hold the stepper plates in place. And we can remove those. Now, as you notice, this one we've removed before already, but I recorded the part that you couldn't really see what I was doing, so I put everything back in. So slight change in reality there for a moment. Anyways, another thing that we are removing with this is these tiny little idlers here that were mounted here with the belt going at a 90 degree over such a small radius. Obviously not ideal. The new design is using bigger idlers. Toothed ones were necessary, and the belt goes off at an angle, which makes gives a little bit less backlash on the movement there. So another thing to fix. So now the stepper plate is off. I'm gonna take care of the other side as well, and then we'll move on to the next part. So at this point, we can take the rest of the cabling out. We're gonna put that stuff aside because some of the cables we're gonna reuse, some of them we're gonna replace. So So first you have to take care of all the cable ties here. Just snip them off. We'll replace them later once we fixed all the cabling. That's that. And then here we can start removing all the different plugs here, the two extruder cables, the two heaters, the two thermistors, one of the stepper motors, the other stepper motor here, and these are the two fans, and down here we have the different probes. And the end stops. All of that can come out, and then from inside we can remove the end stops here that we had. And this here is the Z end stop, and on this machine I'm also going to do the C mod for the optical end stop, so I'm going to remove that one actually as well. And then this guy here, you can just get the cable out of this sleeve here. I guess they used some, yeah, they twisted it around here. Okay, and with that, we remove just about everything that we are going to remove. That means at this point in time, all the stuff that needs to go away is gone. So the next video will be about removing the floppy carry handle. Basically make a cut here, and just remove this inner part. Mostly because this here actually causes the frame to bend on the outside here, which means it gives it less stability. And so there's really no benefit of having this here, so we're going to cut it out. That also means that the extruder can move further back, so that we regain some of the printable distance that we otherwise would lose, because the cable chain hookup kind of goes all the way up to here. So that's going to be the next video, and thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on that one.